The hunt for Zorvan. Life aboard the flagship of the joint human-Veritan fleet had a certain rhythm to it. The ship, proof of the unprecedented alliance, was a hub of constant activity. Veritans, known for their imposing stature and hardened exoskeletons, moved effortlessly through the vessel's corridors. Their steps, heavier than those of the humans, echoed throughout the ship. At first, the notion of an alliance between humans and Veritans was greeted with skepticism by many. The Veritans, a race who had seen and fought in countless wars, joining forces with the humans, a fledgling race with far less military prowess, was hard to fathom. But the past few months had brought significant changes. The integration was proceeding, albeit with a few hiccups. It was a fascinating symbiosis of two diverse cultures. The Veritans were renowned for their strict hierarchical structures and unwavering discipline, something the more democratic humans found both intimidating and perplexing. Conversely, the humans' predisposition for independent thought, creativity, and empathetic leadership was viewed by many Veritans as a puzzling lack of discipline. Yet, as time passed, they started to respect and appreciate each other's strengths. Bonds of camaraderie were forming, some Veritans even developing a sense of respect, if not outright friendship, for their human counterparts. However, despite the positive advancements, there was an elephant in the room that everyone was acutely aware of, the issue of General Zorvan. His rebellion had jolted the Veritans working with humans, forcing them to question their newfound alliance. Every new attack by Zorvan was a harsh reminder that there were those amongst their race who did not see the humans as allies, but as vermin to be eradicated. Amidst the growing tension, a high-level military meeting was underway. Human and Veritan officers, representatives of the Alliance's two halves, huddled together around a state-of-the-art holotable. They pored over the glowing 3D maps and charts that showed their sectors of influence, their faces cast in an ominous azure hue. The main agenda was Zorvan's recent series of attacks.
We have to do something,
Admiral Kira, the leading human military figure, declared, her tone brokering no argument.
The frequency of Zorvan's attacks is escalating. The stakes are not just our ships and personnel, but also our new allies' trust in this alliance.
Before any concrete strategies could be deliberated, the room's communication console chirped, its shrill sound slicing through the tense silence. The words, "Urgent update," flashed on the screen, drawing everyone's attention. A grim report followed. Zorvan had launched another attack on a human outpost. The news hit everyone like a physical blow. Admiral Kira's face hardened, her eyes glinting with resolute determination.
We're doubling the patrols,
she decided, her voice ringing out clear and strong.
Send our best cruisers to the most affected regions. We need to show our people, both humans and Veritans, that we're doing everything we can to ensure their safety.
A chorus of affirmations echoed throughout the room. The task was clear, though daunting. They needed to hunt down Zorvan to neutralize this threat. Yet to do that, they first needed to find him, something that had proven to be more difficult than they had anticipated. As the officers filed out of the room, a sense of unity and resolve filled the air. The hunt for Zorvan had officially begun, and the stakes had never been higher. A delicate proposition. Within the secure walls of his council quarters, Ambassador Solane found himself standing in a room bathed in the soft glow of the setting twin suns. Solane, a seasoned diplomat and representative of the humans, had spent countless hours in this space deliberating decisions that would shape the course of his race's future. Today was no different, and yet the weight of the matters at hand felt heavier than ever before. Two human security officers, their crisp uniforms sharply contrasting with the room's warm tones, were in the middle of their briefing. One of them was Captain Arlen, a veteran intelligence officer whose reputation for impeccable intel had earned him the ambassador's respect.
We have a solid lead on Zorvan's location, Ambassador,
Arlen began, his voice steady and matter-of-fact.
Our spies within the Council and the Orinthian political establishment have overheard whispers of their alliance with Zorvan. There's a strong possibility that they've provided him with a safe haven.
The news did not surprise Solane, yet it left a bitter taste in his mouth. The Orinthians, once respectable members of the Council, now reduced to conspirators in such a treacherous plot.
We're dispatching a stealth reconnaissance ship to confirm the intel,
Arlen continued.
We should have concrete information in a day or so.
After a moment of thoughtful silence, Selene turned his attention to the other officer in the room, General Merrick, the de facto military advisor to the human Veritan joint operation.
What's our strategy, Merrick?
Selene asked. Merrick, a broad-shouldered man with a granite-like countenance, unrolled a hollow map on the table. It showed the targeted sectors along the human Veritan border, the sites of Zorvan's latest attacks.
We need to prevent Zorvan from causing any more damage, preferably by getting him to stand down willingly.
To this end, Merrick proposed a daring idea, a direct appeal to Zorvan from Ambassador Varro. His reasoning was simple. Varro, a seasoned diplomat respected by both Veritans and humans, might be able to persuade Zorvan to surrender peacefully. If this failed, he could at least negotiate a ceasefire to prevent further bloodshed. Selene considered Merrick's unorthodox proposal. It was risky, audacious even, but it could potentially conclude this crisis without escalating violence. Later that evening, he shared his thoughts with Varro during a private conversation. Selene knew he was asking much from the Veritan, but the hope for a peaceful resolution resonated within him.
Varro,
Selene began,
I need you to use your Veritan links and back channels to set up a meeting with Zorvan.
Varro hesitated, his concerns evident.
Selene, I'm not even certain where Zorvan is hiding. How am I supposed to set up a meeting?
He asked, worry etching lines onto his face.
I trust your ingenuity, Varro.
Selene responded.
I believe you can find a way to reach him. Your past experiences, your connections, they might just prove to be the key we need to unlock this impasse.
Varro mulled over Selene's words, his expression contemplative.
Even if I could reach him, I'm not sure Zorvan would agree to meet me,
he said, his voice heavy with worry.
Given my ties to the Council and the humans, he might see me as an enemy.
Selene nodded in understanding.
This is a gamble, Varro, I know, but it's a risk we may have to take for peace. If there is even the slightest chance that your voice could sway Zorvan, we must pursue it.
Despite his concerns, Varro agreed to undertake the delicate mission. He was filled with reluctance, aware of the potential dangers and uncertainties ahead. Yet, he understood the gravity of the situation. If there was any chance to end this conflict without more violence, it was a risk he was willing to take. Later, Selene found himself gazing at the setting suns, their light fading into the encroaching darkness. In many ways, it mirrored the situation at hand. It was a race against the dying light, a desperate struggle to bring peace before the shadows of war engulfed them all. With a final glance at the darkening sky, Selene turned his attention back to the task at hand. He had to prepare for the upcoming council assembly, where he planned to expose the Orinthians' treachery and propose a course of action. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, but Selene was prepared. The game had changed, and the hunt for Zorvan was entering a critical phase. Council sessions were never easy, and today's was especially heated. Ambassador Selene found himself in the thick of it, his words carving through the chaos of opinions and counter-opinions that echoed around the grand hall. He stood in the center, the representative of a nascent human Veritan alliance, and called for unity in the face of adversity.
I stand here today,
Selene began,
not just as a representative of the Veritans or the humans, but as a voice for peace in our galaxy. We face a renegade threat in the form of General Zorvan. He not only presents danger to us, but he also breeds discord among the council races. He is an enemy to peace, to prosperity, and to the unity that we have struggled to build over the years.
A murmur ran through the council. They were all aware of Zorvan's actions. The news of his attacks had been the source of many restless nights.
But it is not just about Zorvan. It's about those who support him, those who provide him with resources and safe havens, those who allow his reign of terror to continue.
Selene continued, his gaze fixed on the empty seats of the Orinthians.
We have credible evidence that suggests that the Orinthians have resigned from the council to align themselves with Zorvan. They're aiding a renegade, enabling his attacks and fostering chaos.
The murmur escalated to shocked whispers. Accusations were one thing, but to have evidence was a different matter entirely.
I propose a trade embargo and severe sanctions against the Orinthians until they come forward and address these accusations. I propose a unified front against Zorvan and his allies. The Galactic Council was formed to maintain peace, to unite us. Let us stand together against those who threaten our harmony.
The hall erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some council members voiced their agreement while others denounced it as an unnecessary escalation. But Selene had made his point.
I also extend an invitation to the Orinthians. If they deny these accusations, let them return to the council and address them. Let them clarify their stand. If they are not allies to Zorvan, let them prove it.
The council session closed amidst a whirlwind of debate and tension. The coming days would reveal how the council would respond to Solon's proposal and the evidence presented. But one thing was certain. The hunt for Zorvan had brought the council to a crucial crossroads. In the midst of the chaos, Selene could only hope that Varro would succeed in his mission and that the council would unify against the rising threats. The future of the galaxy seemed to hang in the balance, but Selene was no stranger to challenges. He was prepared to face whatever came next, his determination fueled by the hope of a peaceful resolution. From the solitary confines of a modest shuttle, Ambassador Varro's gaze is glued to the spectacle of Verita shrinking into a sea of distant stars. As the artificial intelligence on board gently indicates the estimated time of arrival, his heartbeat synchronizes with the low hum of the shuttle's engine, each throb a stark reminder of the monumental task ahead. Meanwhile, on a classified human outpost nestled in a remote corner of the galaxy, a hive of activity hums around the progress of a singular stealth ship. The Phantom, having launched under the shroud of secrecy just 2 days prior, carries on board a precious cargo: hope. The weight of their task is palpable to Captain Layla Harper and Navigator Luca Ward, the only 2 souls aboard the ship. Every passing minute sees them venturing deeper into the uncharted territory, their target a speculative set of coordinates believed to host Zorvan's elusive base. A growing sense of unease and excitement fills the air, both on the Phantom and the distant outpost, their shared tension carried through the vacuum of space. Once they reach the edge of the system, the Phantom gracefully exits hyperspace, the surreal transition punctuating the magnitude of their mission. As the blue star shines against the vessel's hull, their scanners surge to life, their cyclopean eye seeking the signature of their quarry. Back at the outpost, every heart is in throats, every breath held as they await the results. Within the Phantom, Layla and Luca exchange determined glances, their minds and hearts racing in tandem with the relentless scan. The ghost of Zorvan seems to linger in every corner, every distant celestial body, but the scanner's beep continues, devoid of the confirmation they seek. Back at the outpost, the tension escalates. Officers hover over their stations, eyes glued to their monitors as the incoming data is analyzed in real time. The hunt for Zorvan has begun in earnest, their efforts a symbol of the collective resistance against chaos and warmongering. The silence inside the Phantom is deafening, the monotonous rhythm of the scanner reaching an almost unbearable pitch. As the blue star grows in size, a crescendo of excitement builds within them. Then, breaking the silence, Luca's voice echoes through the ship.
"I'm picking something up on sensors,"
he announces, a hint of disbelief lining his tone. The faint whisper of discovery sends a ripple of exhilaration through them, and back at the outpost, a wave of anticipation crashes against the shores of hope. The game-changing revelation they've been hoping for may finally be within their grasp, the potential turning point in their pursuit of peace. The hunt for Zorvan might just be nearing its climax.